Today's video is going to deal with our experience with the Michelin 5 tires, comparing them, some of the other tires in our humble collection of bikes. And if you would like to watch this video in 4K, all you need to do is adjust your device accordingly, and that's how I do it. So on this video, I'm going to share the tire information from the Michelin 5s that I've had over many years, and I've logged in all the mileage. I've logged in some of the things that I think are important, the durometer readings, and I want to share that on this video. Now, I try to record very accurately all of the mileages, all the dates that the tires were put on, the time they were taken off, and how I felt about them, each one overall. So here's a quick look at a Michelin 5, the wear bar. That's the center of the tire. You can see off to the right there's a wear bar that's not worn out. Basically because the middle of the tire wore out before the edge, and that's very common. And the other part of this is when you get to this part where that bar is worn flat with the tire around it, the middle of that tire can be as thin as 1/8 of an inch. And it is very prone then. Anything you pick up is a problem. So, and ask me how I know. You see off to the side, there's way more rubber out at the edge. But on a Michelin 5, there's little stripes right at the very end that tell you how much more wear you have to go. Very convenient that they've done that. Otherwise, you would not know that the middle of the tire is worn, the edge is worn, or both, or all. And so it's real important to pay attention to the wear bars on the tire. So our Michelin 5s are a 2-compound tire. It's very easy to see where the soft compound, where the defining line is. On some tires, a lot of modern sport bike tires are 2-compound, and the softer rubber out at the edge, if you're going to track days, you'll probably wear that right to the edge. If you're riding aggressively, you'll get further and further out to the edge. But what happens is that rubber is very, very soft. So if you don't have to ride a long way out to your riding area, you probably wear the tire a lot more evenly than I do, but on this case, the middle wore out before the edge. Again, I do keep notes of everything, especially tires, especially oil changes. So by looking at this, I know that when I took this tire off the MT-09, because what I had done is paint the rims, it had 5193 before I put it on the 650. So now I have to see how many miles, calculate out how many miles it went on the 650, total them together. So on the 650, I've put on 4,100, a total of 9,200, a little over 9,000 miles. That's usually pretty good, and I'm real happy with that. What I strive for is to get 10,000. This I'll settle for any day of the week, because the Michelin 5s are really sticky at the edge. I really like the way they handle. They're a soft carcass tire, easy to put on and off, and they're just an easy tire. Very smooth feeling tire, not rough and picking up every bump in the road like the hard carcass tires are. Now, worth mentioning, I've had many different brands of tires on my GS 1100 and 78,000 miles. By far, and I mean by far, the Michelin Commanders are the tires of choice for me. Now, on my durometer, the edges have stayed in the high 40s. The middle of the tire, still in the 50s. So, and that's exactly where it started when the tire was new. So it's telling me the tire has not, in 3 years of service, it hasn't deteriorated at all. Now, some interesting information, sidebar information. The tires that came with the bike lasted 8,100. I put on a set of Michelin 2s, and they lasted a little less, 7,100. So I know the Michelin 2s, for instance, they were a little bit softer, and probably, well, they were a little more expensive too. And the premium, the Michelin 5s and 6s that I have downstairs to mount are really a premium grade tire. But hey, there's certain things I'm not trying to be cheap with, and one of them is tires. But that's interesting that the Michelin 2s did not last as long for me anyway, and from the tires that came with the bike. But keep in mind, the tires that came with the bike or probably flat out 1 compound touring tires. So when you go to a 2 compound tire and ride aggressively, a lot of times you can expect just a little bit more wear and tear. Now I want to cycle through the options here because I want to get an accurate reading of the mileage right now. And I record it, but we're not going to change it. 16.2. So I want to calculate out how much mileage I have on this tire now, and this tire's got a long way to go. Now the MT-09, again, a little rougher on tires, more powerful bike, but we are only on the end of the first bar, and there's plenty of meat right in the middle, and we have officially got 6,100 miles on these tires. That's 6,000. These look like they're going to go to 10, but again, you never know, and it depends on how aggressive you are. And of course, and Ray has mentioned something to me years ago, the roads in Florida have seashells mixed in with them, and it tends to tear up the tires in with the road surface. So I don't know. Where I ride, the problem is I got to ride out Route 80, roughly 30 miles to get to my riding area. But anyway, just interesting information. Now, so many things affect tire wear. The horsepower of the motorcycle is, of course, one. The weight of the motorcycle. The person driving it, do you accelerate out of corners, or do you wait till a bike is upright and then hit the gas? Sometimes you wind up wearing out the middle of the tire if you like to go drag racing or pull hole shots. But at some point in time, your riding style will be a big factor in how long the tires last, as well as do you keep them inflated to the proper pressure, and among other things, or if you're prone to just a good example, when a light changes, spin the back wheel. Now there's interesting information about the tires that came with this bike. They were Dunlops, and what happened to the Dunlops, they wore out the edge. The middle was perfect, the edge wore out, and I replaced them with the Michelins. So this one has 6,000 miles. It's not even into the first bar yet. There's 3 bars at the edge. Let's see in the middle, and I'm about in the middle of the first bar. In 6,000 miles, that would tell me there's a good chance we're going to get 10,000 out of these, at a minimum 9. And the good news is not only that you get that mileage, but they are sticky. These are really good sticky tires. Now, just as a point of comparison, these are a set of Michelin 2s, and they don't have any to tear on the edge. I don't know if there's a harder compound. Yeah, they're 2 compound tires, but I don't see the complete where the tread changes. On a 5 you can see a distinct line. On these you can't, but these were really good. They always lasted between 5,000 and 6,000 miles, and I always replaced them just a little sooner than most people would, because I have to do that long ride out on Route 80, and what would happen is the middle of the tire would kind of wear out before the edge. Now, pretty interesting, I looked over my notes of the R1, and all of the tires I've had Michelin 2s, 3s, Pirelli Angels, and I'm not done with the Angel test, but the Angels look like they're going to outwear the Michelins. I don't know. But again, they are a harder tire, a harder compound tire, according to my Durometer. And the bike tends to ride just a little bit rougher. If you run the tires between 30 and 32, you'll notice it just a little bit rougher. And on some people wouldn't mind that. Some people, it's all about the handling. For me, I like to have the best of all worlds. It's always a compromise. Now, just one example. My RD, I don't know why. It's the mystery of life. It wears out tires very quickly. Then I think, well, yeah, we don't go for a ride around town to the coffee shop. Usually if Luciano and I are riding this, we're riding it, holding it wide open half of the ride. Again, how aggressive you ride the bike is always going to be part of how quick the tires wear out. And they're going to wear out quicker for one person than another person. That's just the way it is. So for my 750, I do have a set of spare wheels because I have a whole spare bike. And I did a lot of tire testing when I first got the bike, the first one. I have 2 of them. And I tried Bridgestones and I tried Dunlops, and I settled on the Pirelli Sport Demons as being the best for my use. And the only downside of those tires, they were relatively soft, and I was struggling to get 5,000 miles. And sometimes I'd only get 4,000 if we do some track days along the way. Now, another small thing, it's a tiny thing you can do to get the most out of your tires. I check the tire pressure pretty much every time I ride the bike. And I want it to be between 30 and 32 to start the ride. On a hot day, that'll go up to 32, 34 at the end of the ride. But I want to check it every time. Now, what was handy about that, and it happened as soon as I had the MT-09, I was checking the tire pressure and I see a nail sticking out of it. And a month or two later, I saw there was another problem with the tire. And then I had a flat on the R1. I had 3 flats actually within probably a year. But by checking it every day, if all of a sudden here's what I'm saying. If you pick up a nail, a lot of times you ride the whole day and nothing happens. It doesn't even go flat. But by the next morning, it will be, instead of 30, 32 pounds, it'll be 20. And if it's 20, whoops, I got a problem. Get the soapy water out and start finding where that nail or the leak is. And that has saved my bacon 3 times since I bought the MT-09. Now, many people over the years have sent me emails and comments on the video, especially on some of the videos we make that deal with tires, that they've had not so good luck with certain brands, or that they've had exceptional good luck with other tires. I kind of have some of each, and I have the next part of this test is going to be when these tires wear out, and we're going to start with, of course, with the 650. I have 2 brand new sets of Michelin 6s. I want to start seeing how they compare. But right now, my feeling is, the gut feeling is, the 5s outlast the 2s, and the 2s outlast the 3s, the ones I've had on the sport bikes. The 3s wore out the fastest on the R1 of any tire I had on there. So, and I don't know about the 6s, but I know several people already have them on the bike already. So we're going to try to share that information, and thank you to everybody that sent that information into the channel. So the next test I'll be doing is, I have, for the both bikes that have Michelin 5s, I have Michelin 6s. I get all my tires from Vlad, and thank you very much, of course. He's been a great friend over the years. MotoWorld.com. So, of course, thank you to everybody who shares the tire information. And the tires are getting pricier and pricier by the year. I, for one, want to get the most mileage I can, especially if I'm buying the tires, the 2 compound tires that you either have a choice of wearing out the middle or the edge. They almost never wear out the whole tire at the same time, but they seem to be a good value. Now, the question I've had, and I'm going to end the video this way. When I got these tires, the list price on them was roughly $100 more than some of the other tires. And I was wondering, you know, that's, well, I bought 4 tires, that's, it's a lot of money. And I was wondering, are they going to be worth it? Well, when I compared what I was getting from the Michelin 2s, it seems like it's a good value. If you get an extra 3,000 miles out of a set of tires, that makes up for the money, the $100 extra, but then you don't have to mount them as often. And I, for one, I don't like mounting tires on and off the rims. I do it without using tools and using the little method I've shown on previous videos. Look it up, tire changing, on my channel. The advantage of not changing them like that, there's a lot less chance you'll scratch the rims, even if you have stock rims. But anyway, the next part of this, and there's one final thing I want to say. Karen and I, in a few short days, are going to be leaving for France. We're not going to be back in the shop for probably 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know by the time we take care of all the other business. So if you're a video subscriber, this is probably the last one you're going to see for our, I don't know, 3 weeks maybe, 2 weeks, I don't know. But thank you for being a loyal supporter and supporting the channel. And we're still getting ready to go to France as I make this video. So hope you did get some good information off it. Share it with your friends. Watch some of the older videos while I'm gone, and ride safe. Remember, our channel is about sharing useful, practical information if you love motorcycling and have a passion for it. And thank you so much for watching.